There'll be no whistling in my house. Whistling in a house can summon fairies. And in Irish folklore, they can be like bad fairies.
For generations, women were shamed for trusting themselves, sensing things before they happen, and believing in their own power. No one encouraged them to embrace it until now. Welcome to Trust Yourself.
Hi, I'm Elise, but my sister calls me Sissy.
And I'm her sister, Heidi.
And we're your favorite psychic sisters. And today, we're taking you with us to Ireland, where the veil feels very, very thin. Yes, we've established. My accent sucks.
Great.
Yes. You say it, Heidi.
So
you say it.
I'm not immersed yet. Okay.
Come on, Saoirse.
Taking you to Ireland where the veil, I can't do it either. Where the veil feels very thin.
That's good. That's better than mine.
I'll do better after a month of immersion therapy in Ireland.
Yes, let's come back to this again and try again and see how well you do. I'm excited for this. Ireland has so much amazing, deep-rooted folklore, like fairies, spirits, banshees, portals. And today, we're not only going to share stories of the Irish lore that's been passed down through generations, we're also going to share our own intuitive experiences that we had when we visited Dublin in March.
It was so cool. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, there's something special about Ireland. I've always felt drawn to Ireland and even like the Scotland area. I know those are two different countries, but something about that landscape, I feel like it calls to me.
Yes, very whimsical.
And fun fact, I found out yesterday that the Appalachian Mountains and the Scottish Highlands, which is also connected to, I think, the Caledonian mountain ranges, which is through parts of Ireland, were once part of the same mountain ranges before the tectonic shifts, where we had like Pangea, you know?
Yeah, of
so
course.
If you're hiking through the Appalachian Mountains, you're technically hiking in the same mountain ranges as Ireland and Scotland.
That's probably why I was also pulled to New England.
Yes. Well, no wonder it seems so like mystical and eerie and beautiful in the Appalachian Mountains at the same time. And there's so many ghost stories there.
Fuck yeah.
But we're not talking about Appalachian right now. We're talking about Ireland. So let's dive in with some Irish lore, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to start with one that is pretty widely known. You may have heard about it. The Banshee.
I know I've heard about the Banshee, but I don't remember exactly what it is. So do tell.
I've heard about it in like ghost stories and ghost hunting shows and things like that. I didn't know it originated in Ireland. And so this came from the folklore of the female spirit or fairy woman who wails and shrieks to announce an impending death. And the myth is heavily tied to the 8th century Irish tradition of keening. I hope I'm saying this right. I have no idea. Keening, where women were actually paid to sing ritualistic songs of lament at funerals. Did you know that was a thing?
Oh, I had no idea. There's so much I need to learn about Ireland, honestly. Like
it's really cool.
I'm going to take classes.
Yeah, there were professional women that would just sing these wailing songs at funerals, and they probably weren't even, connected to the person that was dead. Can I say that to the person that passed?
The person that died.
So the story goes that if you hear a banshee wailing in the night, it is a supernatural version of these keeners, and it is predicting the death of a family member, specifically the death of old Irish families. So imagine waking up in the middle of the night and you hear this wailing sound outside, but you don't see anything, and it just feels like off and creepy, and it's not a fox screaming. You know the fox sound? Like,
oh, yeah. I was thinking about the goats, like the screaming goats.
Oh.
Just make those noises.
Okay, so if you hear this wailing, that is not a fox, though. It's a woman screaming, crying. And then in the morning, you find out that a family member passed away. That would be the work of a banshee.
Ooh.
And I think what some people get wrong with this lore, specifically ghost hunters trying to make, some excitement on YouTube, is that the banshee isn't a villain. Her cry doesn't cause death. It announces it. So she's a mourner, like a premature mourner, if you will. And she's like the spirit of sorrow and grief that's bound to these ancient bloodlines. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
And also, according to some legends, the banshees are known for like combing their hair a lot, apparently. And finding a comb near a water source in Ireland is considered bad luck. So
shit. There are so many superstitions that I've been learning. One of them is one of my friends who is in my improv group, but also is from Ireland, told me one because I was like, oh, tell me everything I need to know. And he's like, well, one time when I was a little boy, I was at my grandma's house and I was whistling and she came around the corner and goes, there'll be no whistling in my house. And he's like, what is going on? And then later he told his mom, he's like, Mom, grandma got mad at me for whistling in the house. And she was like, you didn't whistle in her house, did you?
Oh God.
And he's like, why? What does that mean? And like nobody told him for the longest time. They were just like, you can't whistle in the house. You can't whistle in the house. Apparently whistling in a house, especially by a little boy, but also could be a little girl, but especially by a little boy, can summon fairies. And in Irish folklore, fairies aren't always like happy, fun little, cute little fairies. Like they can be like bad fairies.
Yes.
So
that's creepy.
I know.
Who knew? Okay. Don't let Stanley whistle in your house in Ireland, Heidi. Whew.
I don't think they know how to whistle yet.
Okay,
so
good.
I think I'm okay. Okay. I have the story of the fetch.
I've never heard of this. What is the fetch?
I'm also probably saying it wrong. Oh. This is just spelled F-E-T-C-H, so it's just like fetch.
Okay.
But it is one of the oldest legends in Ireland. And the fetch is a ghost of the living, a double spirit that takes on the identical appearance of someone as an omen of their impending death.
Oh, so like a doppelganger?
Like a doppelganger, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So this is where the word, it likely comes from an ancient Irish word.
Yeah, don't even try it.
It's literally spelled like faith, F-A-I-T-H, but the A has like a little funny thing on top. So I can't try.
Yeah, let's not offend our Irish friends.
No, I'm going to take an Irish language class,
That's
so
awesome.
I will eventually learn this stuff. But it means seer or prophet.
Cool.
Another theory is that the name comes from fetch life, as in comes to fetch your soul.
Ooh. Goosies.
So a sighting in the morning is generally regarded as auspicious, foretelling longevity and good fortune. But an appearance at night signals immediate peril and rapid demise.
Oh, God.
Yep. So the fetch is typically depicted as a shadowy figure resembling a living person, including their clothing.
Oh.
It's usually seen not by the person it resembles, but by a close friend or family member. So somebody else seeing your doppelganger, if it's during the day, that's great. If it's at night, you're fucked.
Well, it still seems like it's not good at all, but
yeah. But it says sometimes the fetch bears the marks of how the person will die. Burned, clutching its chest, etc. And weirdly, it can sometimes be seen by everyone except the person it imitates.
That is creepy.
Yeah. So there is a specific story I have here on this one. So it was a 19th century Dublin woman awoke to see her husband's double standing at the table in their moonlit room, while the real man lay asleep beside her.
Ugh.
The figure faded away, and the following night, her husband suddenly collapsed and died of a burst blood vessel.
Oh, God.
Her words to the doctor, "Oh, the fetch, the fetch." So that is one of the stories of like, she saw the fetch and then her husband died.
Wow. Nope. That's creepy.
I know. I used to think doppelgangers were cool. And people used to say I look like Saoirse Ronan all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, please.
Yeah.
But now, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to look like anybody.
Well, I definitely feel like the doppelganger is something different. I mean, it does look like you, but I don't think it has anything to do with impending death. But
no.
The
I know,
Irish
right?
and their dark twists. I love it.
They're so dark. I can't wait. They're my people.
They're my people. My middle child would fit in nicely there.
Yes. We'll take her.
She's so morbid. I love it.
She's definitely got the Tim Burton vibe to her.
yes.
Like her brain is like Tim Burton.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Also, she is an incredible drawer, but everything she draws is very morbid and
Blood.
creepy. And it's
There's always
so
blood.
cool. Always blood or something's broken or I don't know.
So good. I can't wait to see what she does with her life.
I know. Watch out for that one. Okay. I have one more story. And because you already talked about fairies, Heidi, this is going to be a little bit more.
Touched on it.
Yeah. A little bit more info. So this is the story of the fairy forts. In Ireland, there are ancient circular earthen mounds that are scattered across the countryside. And they're called fairy forts, but also sometimes called raths or ring forts. Again, if I butcher that name, Rass, sorry, we
don't
are
know
Americans.
yet.
We know nothing but one language. Anyway, there are something like 40,000 of these rings still in Ireland today. And some of them are thousands of years old. And they're really cool. So if you look it up, they look almost like alien crop circles.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them and I was like, okay, definitely going to go see those.
Yeah. But they're out of earth and rock instead of like crops pushed down. It's like these rocks push up out of the ground in this perfect circle shape. And sometimes like multiple circles in a row. It's really cool. And also there's like one lone hawthorn tree next to or on top of these mounds. And that signifies that this is the fairy fort. So in Irish tradition, they are believed to be the dwelling places of the fairy folk. And this is not like the Tinkerbell fairies.
Right.
These are, like you said, Heidi, an ancient, powerful, divine race who, according to legend, they were defeated by mortal men and they retreated underground into the hills, into these mounds, and into a parallel world that exists just beneath the surface.
Oh my God, I love this. They're probably just pissed at fucking humans, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're not evil. They're just really fucking mad.
Yeah, they might want revenge. And that hawthorn tree in these fairy circles are usually considered the portal or the gateway between these two worlds. So basically, these fairy folks were like the original residents of Ireland, and we should not disturb them, or you will have very, very bad luck.
Yeah, don't summon them. Don't whistle either.
No.
That summons the fairies.
And this lore goes so deep that if there was a mound with a lone hawthorn tree in a farmer's plot of land, the farmer would actually never plow through it. They would leave it undisturbed. And that's like a lot of land, even, an acre or so that could be potential money for crops, but they're like, nope, I'm not going to take my chances.
They respect.
Yes.
They respect their lore. I love it.
And even still today, many communities still treat the fairy forts and the rings with deep respect, refusing to disturb them because there are so many stories still of people who actually did disturb them. And then they experience weird things like, I said, unexplained bad luck, sudden illness, hearing voices or experiencing time slips. And even modern developers have reported machinery breaking down repeatedly when trying to remove them.
Fuck, yes. Why would you try to remove them, you dumb idiots? God, they're going to be cursed for fucking life.
Well,
Shit.
It's so deep that in the 1990s, a major highway project in Ireland was actually rerouted to avoid disturbing a fairy fort. After locals and even some officials, they raised serious objections. So this folklore was strong enough to move a road, literally.
That's awesome. I love that so much. Because think about that in America. Like, that wouldn't happen. They'd be like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't care if I get bad luck.
Exactly. They're like, screw you and your superstitions. That doesn't mean anything to me.
I need to make money.
Money. There is something so beautiful about this, though. Like a whole culture that just collectively decided that these are things we don't mess with.
Yeah. That's so cool. Seriously, like to think about that, how deep that goes and how like it has to move these people enough to be like, nope, we respect this. We trust it.
Yep.
And, like their belief is so strong.
Yep.
in it. And to anybody else, to Americans, they'd be like, whatever, it's just a fairy. It's just Tinkerbell. And then they go and then, stuff happens probably. So
watch out.
I will go and I will leave like, an offering or something. Yes. I will be very respectful, but I do want to go see them.
Yeah. I think it is suggested that you leave some sort of offering, but I do think like, even if you are just going to see them, you need to be very careful because some people even report like getting lightheaded or dizzy and feeling really weird after visiting that area. So just watch out, Heidi. Watch out.
Okay. I won't go when the veil is super thin.
Oh God, isn't it always thin in Ireland? I feel like.
I don't know, probably. I'm just going to go with an Irish person so they can like help me out.
They'll be like,
fuck up.
You're on your own, Heidi.
They'd be like, okay, I'm staying in the car. Bye.
Okay, should we share our stories?
Please. This was so much fun. Okay, so when we went to Ireland, I brought my sister and I was with my family and we were going to, find our house. But I still sissy and we went out to eat. And of course I had to choose Brazen Head, which is Ireland's oldest pub. It was made in
1198.
1198?
Yeah, I think
That's crazy.
Okay, someone said it was officially the oldest Irish pub from 1198. And then there's other, claims that there's an older pub than that.
I'm sure. There always is, right? Whenever you claim to be the whatever, there's always somebody like Minneapolis, like the first Juicy Lucy. And they're like, no, I was the first Juicy. Anyways, there's always going to be somebody like that.
Let's just be clear. It's old as fuck, okay? It's old
pub. As fuck. I've never been in something that was from the 1100s. What is that? 11? Is it the 1100s?
12th century.
Like, no, that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I can't even understand. I can't comprehend. Anyways, very old. So we go in there and of course we have to get our Irish stew.
Oh, so good.
And it was so good. It's my favorite. And I was like, okay, sissy, like, let's see if we can pick up on anything. And you're like, sis, you are so good at just immediately picking up on, I don't know how you pick it up, but you can like hear or whatever. But for me, it's like always in the body first. Yeah. And I like immediately was feeling like something in my like low right back. And then you came in and started talking.
I saw flashes really quickly. And usually when they come and go so fast, that's when I know this is not my mind. This is an intuitive download. And so very quickly, I saw a man in a long coat, like coat with tails. And I'm immediately, there's just a knowing. I was like late 1800s. And I think I'm saying this out loud to you, Heidi. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, in a coat, 1800s.
Yeah. And you talked about his nose specifically.
Like dark hair, long pointy nose. And then he kind of looks angry, like he looks angry. And then we ate for a little bit. And then all of a sudden I heard John. And I'm like, Heidi, John, it's John. And then right after I said that, I heard, look up. And I look up wild. And just to the right of you, Heidi, right behind you, is a wanted poster for a man named John Hines from 1892. Wanted for murder.
No, actually, they'd never even said what he was wanted for.
Oh,
it just said wanted. And it was like £100 reward, which was massive back then.
Yes. And it even had a description, though, of him in the wanted poster. And this was the description. I wrote it down because I'm like, this is nuts.
Yep.
It said, brown hair, brown eyes, projecting chin with stained yellow teeth, eyes deep set, bushy eyebrows, long straight nose, and a scar at the base of his right forefinger. A frowning or scowling appearance.
Yep. That's fucking John.
That's crazy. Yeah. And then what happened after that?
I think that's when I was like feeling the thing in my back at the same time that you were like, I think he got shot in the back.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think I can confirm that.
Yeah.
With my feeling in my own body. But the crazy thing is like, there is nothing that we could find on John. Like, specifically to why he was in jail and like where he went. Cause it was at a jail in Galway.
Yeah.
And what you were picking up on, Sissy, was that he escaped and came somewhere, maybe Dublin, not sure. But it seemed like he was in jail for some like fraudulent thing, or like it was people who had lots of money and they were doing fraud. And then John was like the scapegoat basically. And when he escaped, they all freaked out because they're like, what if he says what actually happened? And that's why his reward was so high, because it was like these, you know, big, powerful people who were not doing great things. So because didn't he tell you something like, you know, like he's not bad, or well, there was something about that.
I don't recall what it was, but I do remember it was just like the feeling I got was that he was so frustrated because he's just not at peace. He's like, my story isn't being told correctly or at all. But what's interesting is when I came back to the States, I looked up the Brazen Head. And we knew nothing about it other than it was like the place to go. Everyone's like, go to the Brazen Head. They have amazing food.
Other than the little pamphlet that we read. And then the bartender was like, nobody reads that. We're like, well, we do.
We're like, we want to know
can you tell me more about this building? And he's like, nah, it's all on the pamphlet.
No. But when I looked it up, what it said was that before disappearing, though, I did look up information about John Hines specifically. And like you said, Heidi, there's really nothing there. But they did say that it was known that he was a regular at the Brazen Head and not just a casual one. People actually remembered him.
What?
And then when I looked up hauntings at Brazen Head, this is what it said. It said that staff and patrons began reporting strange experiences, you know, a long, long time ago. But specifically, there are a couple of things in there. There's like a young kid. There was a couple people upstairs in like the brothel. But there was a section that I read about people describing a man matching Hines's description. And he's always sitting quietly in the corner next to where his wanted poster is, which is exactly what we said.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God. I am full body goosies. This is wild.
And they also said they report, you know, hearing footsteps next to that poster and also like a heavy lingering presence. And they describe it as someone who never found peace. I'm like, that's exactly what we picked up. It was so crazy.
I remember getting the feeling like he just wanted somebody to believe him. Like he's like, I wasn't a crook. Like I didn't do anything wrong.
Like just wrong place, wrong time sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm going to go back there frequently.
And then the second place we went to was Darkey Kelly's pub. And
Darkey Kelly.
All we did was we were like,
search up the most haunted bar in Dublin and take us there.
They're like, okay, every bar, basically. And we chose Darkey Kelly's, obviously my last name. So cool. Let's check it out. It was packed and it was so fun. I loved it.
And it was like a fucking Wednesday. Yeah. Right? Like it wasn't not a weekend and it was packed. There was standing room only.
Yes.
It was ridiculous.
We did eventually sit down, but I will say we didn't look up anything. Again, we didn't look up any of the hauntings or known experiences in this pub. We just looked up the place to go that was haunted. And we both tried to tap in. I didn't really feel much other than a very strong female presence. And all I picked up was like strong female related to a brothel, like maybe a brothel owner or a woman that worked there. And that was it. And it was just I think it was so crowded and there's so much crowded. Energy going on around.
I couldn't feel, I remember being like, there's no way I can get anything in here. Like there is a lot. And it was like happy energy because there was a band playing and it was just like really lovely, like traditional Irish music. And there was a guy celebrating his bachelor party. So it was just, it was a lot of energy.
I do remember it being kind of drafty though. Like every once in a while it would be like kind of cold, then really hot, but there was just so many people moving around. So I didn't know, what it was. I feel like if we were there when no one was there, it would be very different feeling.
I think so.
But I will say the creepy part didn't happen when we were there. It happened after we went back to our hotel rooms.
Oh my God.
So we were trying to connect because of course we're like, I want to know everything. And like, is there anyone that can connect with us here? Okay, you know what? I'm not getting anything. Let's go home. So we both go back to our hotels that night. And I think this was the night before we left, right?
That was our last night.
Yeah. So I'm like, we got to go to bed early. We got planes to catch. And I shit you not, at 3 a.m.,
Always 3 a.m.
my TV turned on.
Fuck that.
Blaring, turned on. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Holy shit.
No, thank you.
I would not go back to sleep
And
after
of
that.
course, I didn't have like a clicker or anything next to me, a remote control. And I had to go get out of bed to turn it off. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay.
No.
I am brave. Turned it off,
No.
put the covers over my head, and I didn't like wake up until the morning. And I
Yep.
told you about it, and you're like, what? I'm so glad it wasn't me.
No, that's wild. I know. I was like, don't bring it all the way home.
Because I was alone in my room. I didn't have my family with me. It was just me, and it was so creepy.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So again, come back to the States, and I look up more information about Darkey Kellys. And this is what I found. It says that their rumors are that there was a woman named Darkey Kelly. Whether she had dark hair, dark complexion, they don't know. Either one, it's pretty inappropriate, sorry, but that's what they named it. Anyway, they said that this woman didn't really fit into society, and she lived at the brothel. Shortly after she moved in, bodies were found around the property. And then she was accused of witchcraft and arrested and burned at the stake in 1761. So staff and visitors at Darkey Kelly's have reported a woman's presence, usually lingering in certain rooms, sudden drops in temperature, like walking through cold pockets.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just got a really cold feeling on my hand. Okay.
Also, I'm not going to lie. I swear I saw an orb go like this before, like when you were talking about her at first. Did you see my eyes? I was like, no. Okay, Darkey Kelly, we see you.
Shit. I knew I should have been careful when talking about this. It's okay. We have a protection around us as we talk about this.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, they also talk about this feeling of like being watched from behind. And then apparently glasses move when no one is nearby. And of course, they talk about chairs moving in the middle of the night too. So they don't really talk about feeling of an evil energy. They just feel like anger and injustice, which makes sense.
Seems like there's a lot of that around there.
I know.
Okay. Well, and I mean, you think about the actual history of Ireland itself too, and the Irish people getting literally pushed out, and the Irish potato famine. It wasn't just that. It was the British getting rid of all of their food and goods and like exporting them and letting the Irish die, basically. So it's like they have a long history with injustice. So I'm not surprised that a lot of like the activity is still there, because there is so much of this unrest, because it's like, nope, I didn't get justice.
Right.
Ugh, it's wild.
And it's just like embedded into the land. So when you go there, it's just, I don't know. I feel like Ireland allows you to just access something within yourself, I guess. I don't know. But.
Good thing I like justice.
Good thing.
I'll help them find justice. I'll be their voice.
Yeah. So I love these kind of stories. I feel like it would be great if we could afford to just travel to different countries and report on these stories.
Honestly, Zizzy, I think it's in our future. Let's just plant that seed right now, because if we could just collect people's lore and stories and just share them, I think that would be so amazing, because not only does it educate people and it informs people, but it also kind of opens your eyes to all these different things, these other ideas, and also maybe different ways to tap in. Maybe we can research how the Irish like to tap in, or if they do it secretly because everybody's Catholic. I don't know. I'll let you know.
Well, they don't seem to be too secret about the lore that they keep.
No, they're definitely not secret about the lore. I love it.
Yeah. Well, you let us know. What would you like to hear? Because I would love to do that, but
yes,
we shall see. But I know a lot of you have been listening since the very beginning of this podcast. Tori, Becky, we see you.
Yay. Shout out.
So many. I feel bad. I shouldn't leave people out, but we know that we love talking about our own intuitive stories, but Something I think that we love even more is hearing about yours and reading them on our podcast so that we can help other women just like you see that we're not crazy. We are just really connected and our intuition is so freaking accurate if we trust it. So please, please, if you have any fun, intuitive, psychic, or any unbelievable story.
Even lore.
Yes,
I want to hear more lore
exactly.
too. Send us all your stories. If you have stories about fairies,
send it in.
All of our UK listeners too. I want to hear your lore. I'm sure you've got a lot of lore too.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And then we can do some more research on it. And I love research and learning. So if you do have those stories, please send it in to stories@trustyourselfpodcast.com. And we will probably read it on our next listener story episode. Yay.
Yes.
All right, Heidi, get your tarot ready and let us know what energy to expect this week.
Righto.
Wait, that's British.
Oh, yes, it
Righto.
is. I know. Ooh, okay. This one was calling to me. I'm getting the ones that I haven't had in a while. And I apologize because a lot of these are oracle decks. And I know we keep calling this tarot bit, but it's like, mostly oracle decks.
Falls under the same umbrella to me. I don't know.
So this is my Earth Magic Oracle deck, which felt very Irish to me.
Heidi, did you get an Oracle deck in Ireland yet? You have to get one.
No, I haven't yet.
God,
I haven't gone to a store and it hasn't called to me. I will do that. That is high on my list of priorities of things to do as soon as I move there. Next to like unpacking, it's going to be go get a deck.
I mean, that's kind of up there with unpacking. It's important.
Probably some crystals too. Ken's going to be like, what the fuck? You have like 50 decks. I'm like, there's always room for more. Always room for more.
It's fine.
All right, deck. What stories do you have for us? What? Oh, my goodness. Okay, that was right away. Oh, my goodness. Look, we've got...
Stop. What? I'm excited.
Okay, the first one was dream time and creation. So this one's all about being creative and like letting your mind kind of wander and open up. But the next one was fairies. Earth magic. The fairies are coming to tell us that they heard our story. You guys.
Oh my
I
gosh.
cannot.
I hope we were respectful enough and we didn't make them mad.
I mean, because it came out with, it also came out with this one, summer solstice, which is radiance.
Oh.
So I feel like they're happy.
Good.
We got creation, we got radiance, and then we got the fairies. But seriously, in this entire deck, fairies pop out in this whole deck.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
And it was like immediate. That's ridiculous. Thank you, fairies. Thank you so much.
We love you. We love Ireland.
I do love fairies. I love Ireland. I can't wait. Just 2 weeks from this day of recording. I know when you guys listen to this, I'll already be in Ireland. But
righto.
Righto. Wrong country.
What is the Irish version of that?
Definitely not top of the morning because nobody actually says that. So
good to know.
Yeah, don't do that when you come. You'll be made fun of.
Okay. Well, please send us in more stories and more lore. We'd love to read them. And until next time, it's your move, sis.
Make it count.
Bye.
Bye.
Did you know that male foxes have like little spiny things on their...
Oh, yeah. They're like cats then.
on their penis?
They're like spikes.
Yeah. So when they penetrate the female fox, it makes them scream in pain. Oh my gosh, this is probably too much for our podcast. Sorry.